Hey, this is Lynn from lynnbrunet.com, and you are listening to Find Your Groove. And if you don't find it today, I don't know if you ever will. This is going to be an over-the-top show. Prepare to be blown away and captivated by my guest, as I was about 6 or 7 years ago. Dyana Valentine is not for the faint of heart. She has spent more than 13 years teaching leaders to listen to themselves and complete seemingly impossible projects. We're talking major brand overhauls here, people. Six-figure product launches, full-fledged manuscripts. She serves up straight from the hip advice in online magazines and columns all over the internet. And in a past life, she was an idiot savant microsurgery tech, worked for the Olympic Games organizing committee, and was personally approached by the FBI with a recruitment invitation for classified reasons on 2 separate occasions. She is a fire hose of ingenuity, a profoundly inspiring coach, and pretty easy on the eyes. I got to say, I love those curls. She inspired me to love my curls. You're going to love her brilliant insights on idea generation, intelligent project testing, and humane communication. And I promise you'll want to keep her in your arsenal of support like a razor sharp secret weapon. And we are going to get on with it because, Dyana, you could take up more than an hour, darling.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. You're an out loud thinker, aren't you?
I am. I don't really know what I'm thinking until I hear myself say it.
I love that because so am I. Sometimes I'll be out in public. Do you do that and then you've said something and you don't realize you're talking out loud and people around you are looking at you weird?
No, I pretty much know I'm saying it out loud, and I got used to people looking at me weird a long time ago. So that's sort of how I know I'm on the right track. If someone doesn't have a either confused or surprised look on their face, then I'm not really doing it right.
Well, you definitely have a different thought process that I was lucky enough to have coffee with you, and I'm so grateful you reached out to me. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. You came to town, and you let me know that you were coming to town, and let's meet up for coffee. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that you did that, and I never forgot that experience because your thought process is different. It is something that makes people think differently. You can't help, and you take people on a journey when you're thinking, and you definitely did for me. It was like, whoa, this is totally different. And I don't know if you remember, but you got to talking about something in your apartment really bugged you. You may not remember, and the thought process you had in that, I was like, wow, it was a journey. It was a journey.
Well, thanks for coming along with the ride. I think, I think that was something like circuitous thinking or thinking out loud or going. One of my ex-boyfriends used to call it going around the block to get next door. So I sort of do take a little bit of a journey to figure out something that might seem very simple to a linear thinker or a sort of more structural or analytical thinker. And I always took it as a criticism as a kid or as a younger person or a young adult or even early in my career, like, just get to the point, Valentine, right? And so I internalized that criticism a lot, and I would censor myself or I would try to hold back on something, and I could never figure anything out because I wasn't allowing myself to have a natural thought process. And because I'm verbal, I need to talk to someone in order to actually hear myself. So, but for years that was not okay. So finally being able to embrace it and now to be able to use it to help other people it's really quite a celebration of life. And I encourage anybody listening to think about the things you get criticized for and see if it's possible you give yourself permission to do a little bit more of them this weekend or this coming week or wherever you are in time and space and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking that as you said that the things that we're usually criticized for are usually the things that we're brilliant at. And I remember for me, when I was young, I got teased about, you talk a lot. You talk a lot. And I used to get teased with that. Well, there's an old song, "You Talk Too Much." And I remember that. And, I was the one that would speak out in class and defend somebody, or just speaking up. And that has served me well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, look at the thing that that gets pointed out to you all the time. And that could be your greatest gift.
Well, yeah, and I also think that I never thought of this when someone was criticizing me. I never had an automatic thought until I started to practice having this automatic thought. What is it that the person who's criticizing me is saying that they need from me that they're not getting? So for me, it helped me access a whole new population of clients and a whole new side of, let's say, my family or group of close friends. It helped me have very different conversations with them, because if I thought, instead of like, oh, they don't like me, so I need to do something different, as opposed to saying, oh, this is an interesting invitation, so what is it? What can I do to make myself more clear to you? And so at the time, I had a couple of close friends who were willing to kind of work with me on it, and they said, while I'm listening to you on this journey, like you, Lynn, were sitting with me in coffee, and you were just along for the ride, and you're like, whatever is happening is pretty cool, and I'm going to pay attention, I'm going to listen to it, and it's a great story, right? But a lot of people, it makes them anxious. So long monologues make them anxious because they're cataloging every point that I'm making and every counterpoint that I'm making, and they're trying to come up with a strategy or solution. So it causes great anxiety for them to listen to me working out an idea, because they are taking on responsibility for trying to solve the myriad problems I'm bringing up. And meanwhile, I'm chilled out and not really upset. I'm just rambling because I'm trying to get somewhere, and I know I'll get there.
Yeah.
So it's something to consider, that not only what we're criticized for is a gift, but it's also an opportunity to support somebody near you in a way you might not have thought of, because they're pointing out to you that they need something different. So again, these are two great motivators for my work in super conditions. I mean, the whole idea is that the more we know about how we work in our natural state of being, how we think about the way the world works and what we need in order to do our best work, has everything to do with how we relate to ourselves and to other people. So it's not just in the decision making, it's also then in the negotiating, the designing of systems that affect other people, and the communicating with other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's multiple layers of this, but definitely I like to start with the sort of, we all have a list of all the shitty things that we think about ourselves or that somebody else thinks about us. It's harder for us to think of what we're good at. So I like starting with pet peeves and criticisms, because, say what's really happening, what's really knocking around in your brain.
Yeah. Like Jan Van Zandt says, call a thing a thing. Call
a thing
it
a
what
thing.
It is. Yeah.
And then make cookies out of it,
Yeah, exactly. Well, a great example of your thought process, and I regularly go back and look at it, and I told everybody I know about it, and is the TEDx talk you did about I'm not sorry. That is a great example of your thought process of that whole experience. And for those listening, you can go and look at it so you can, see what I'm talking about. But yeah, you brought up things in that it's just so interesting, and it's a refreshing way to think, because I think it's a habit. Do you think it's a habit, the way we think, or we're taught to think, or like?
You mean saying I'm sorry?
No, I think, well, we could talk about that, but I mean you and a friend of mine, Allison, and you really should be on her show. I need to connect you two, because you're the only two people I know that have such unique thought processes. And is it because, I don't know, is it a habit the way we think? Do you think?
I think around the culture of apology, and I'm not sorry, I do think that is a social training. I think that is hearing our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And and integrating that into our own behavior, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make sure that it's okay for you to take up space and pre-apologize for taking up space and breathing air. And I really think it's an unconscious habit that we're trained by other people. Social training, right, becomes habit. Yeah. And I think that that's true for any kind of automatic thought that we have that isn't related, obviously, to our autonomic nervous system. I just mean automatic thought, like that we've heard other people do and that we then integrate into our own thinking of whether it's codependency or whether it's like people pleasing, whatever our theme is of the day. I think that a lot of what goes through our minds is kind of programmed or habitual by the time we're grown-ups. And I think it's worth doing a little bit of unpacking and a little bit of investigating to figure out what those automatic thoughts are leading us to. So if I'm sorry, then what kinds of decisions am I going to make about risks to take? So if I have an opportunity, for instance, it's a little bit risky, but I'm kind of sorry and I feel like I'm maybe somebody who talks too much or talks too loud, like you and I probably have been criticized for, or talks too long in our lives. And we have an opportunity that is a talking opportunity. But we're sorry that we talk too much or too loud or too long. It might be a great opportunity, but our automatic thinking might prevent us from saying yes to that, or we might say, oh, no, I'm sure somebody else is better at that than I am. Even if it's a brief subconscious thought, that can really influence our ability to say yes to things that are natural and good for us, that are delightful, open, full, voluntary yeses. And we might not even recognize our natural no's. So, for instance, if I'm given an opportunity that isn't a talking opportunity, that's a very quiet, introspective, no interaction with people opportunity, I might think to myself, if I think that I'm too loud and talk too much, that's probably good for me. I should probably want to do that. I should probably want to sit in an office and be quiet and just have a job that pays me money and pays my bills. But if I looked at it from a superconditioned perspective, it's actually a natural no for me to be isolated from other people. I need other people to bounce ideas off of, otherwise I get lonely very quickly. I might be able to do it for a little while. Yeah. But I can't even hear my natural no because my automatic thought or my habit of I'm sorry is sitting right on top of it. And it's almost like a clouded set of sunglasses I'm looking through. I cannot see it because I'm just playing my habits and the social, directives that say, just take the job, right?
Yeah. Oh, the job. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into talk, because we've mentioned a couple times super conditions, and I want to talk about the super conditions game that you've created. And I know you've been working with super conditions for a while, but the super conditions game is new.
Brand new, yeah.
And I had the chance to do it, to play the game.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you, it kind of hurt my brain and that's the way it is for me when I have to really focus on me and really pull stuff out of myself. But the super conditions game is really about helping people make decisions.
Right.
Is it that? Is it more than that?
Well, I mean, think about how making better decisions would affect your life. Yeah, it's more than that. I mean, making decisions is not a minor thing.
No.
So, yes, I think it can be very big. It has been really big for me. I have redesigned my business. I've made a lot of life choices that have had huge positive effects on me and on the people around me, my family and my friends. And I'm really, really, really proud of it. I feel proud in a way that was fairly difficult for me to access in the first 45 years of my life. I mean, it's not that I don't have problems now, but from having worked this system, I'm more clear about why I do things the way that I do them, who I am when I'm doing them, and what I'm interested in making and being involved in. And that is just a huge, huge gift, that level of confidence and clarity. I think that's way bigger than I make better decisions. I feel better about them. I feel better about myself. I feel stronger, more delighted, So yeah, I think
how many times do people say, "Oh, why did I do that?" You see a lot of regret.
Right.
Why did I do that? Why? And they know inside, you knew when you were thinking about it that it wasn't right, but you still did it.
Well, I think the worst for me, if you hear me say this, I'm really hurting. Why did I do that again?
Yes, yeah.
Why did I do that again? Like, that's the worst. That's like you get an F minus on something, if you're just like, I was supposed to have learned that.
Yeah. And that comes from not understanding your what you call your super condition.
Yeah, I think it's from unexamined elements that control our behavior. If we don't get in there and do a little bit of excavating, we're not going to know why we keep doing that thing that's screwing us up repeatedly. So, I think, there's a lot to be seen in just a little bit of exploration. So, Lynn, you and I met some 5-6 years ago at a coffee shop on a pier by the ferry in Nanaimo, right?
Yeah.
And we maybe talked for 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And in between, we've made friendly comments and seen each other online, but otherwise we really don't know each other that well.
That's right.
Okay. So we like each other, but we don't really know details. So
yeah.
I want to give an example to everybody listening, but I also kind of want to see if this resonates with you. I read your game results briefly last night and then again one time through this morning. And I wanted to keep it fairly light. I wanted to get an idea about where you were headed and what you were interested in thinking about differently. So for everybody listening, the game is you put a question of the day into the game and then you play it and you see if at the end of the game you feel more confident about your ability to make that decision that you're trying to make. So here are the things I noticed when I was reading through your piece, and tell me if I got any of this wrong or I missed something. But here's how I would describe you if I were just reading your game, and tell me if I got it. So
okay.
I see these sort of poles, right? So on one end is like elegant, sharp, socially expressive, right? On the other side is, utilitarian, sort of flowy and soft, quiet and easy. So there's these extremes in the way that you answer things and the way you describe your life. There's always this like fast and busyness and being in charge and being the only one who knows. And there's a kind of freedom for you in that kind of leadership and that sort of solo pillar leadership. And yet there's this sort of craving for TLC and for, maybe even though it's you, this idea of like possibly collaborating where somebody else could take the wheel and you could shine and somebody else could be doing all the minutia, and that there could be an easy way to do that with your approach to the world. And that right now things are kind of, you work really hard, right?
Yeah.
Is any of that untrue?
Oh God, no.
Okay. So, and you didn't write that in that particular way, right? You didn't write that in some kind of summary of like, this is who I am. I inferred that from your writing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So the fact that I know that about you tells me an immense amount about how you might, for instance, design a new way of looking at your business, or how you might relate to friends, or how you might make and maintain relationships. It gives me a lot of information. And I couldn't have really known that information. That would have taken me years to know that information about you.
Yeah, good point.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to say that, this is an instrument that can tell you a lot about you. So if that's my summary of you, and then we took a question into that kind of a sort of a polar personality, and I mean poles that, and I do the same thing. I hang out at the poles. I'm either asleep or I'm running 110 miles an hour. I don't really have
I'm not alone.
I don't really have like a cruise speed, but I have a lot of friends who know how to cruise, and that helps me. It helps me have moments in my life where I can just chill and like stare into space and enjoy a moment, and it helps me to have people around like that. So if I could read that in just a few minutes, and that kind of takes you to that gives you a summary of sort of who you are. That then lets you look at new decisions. If you only used my summary, right, and you sort of got rid of, you just like submitted everything else, like sort of sublimated everything else that you normally think about yourself and whatever, and you just looked at that, then are you ever going to be a relaxed and happy person if everything is middle of the road? No. If everything is just okay?
No.
Right. You would think like, what you want me to like eat crickets out of the gutter? What are you asking me? Right? It would be like the worst thing ever. So then when you go to design a new business, or you go to put a decision in there, and the decision itself is asking you if you can choose middle of the road, from henceforth, you're going to say no thank you, because you've just found one of your natural no's is middle of the road. Oh. You either want to have a huge impact or you don't want to be involved in a project at all.
Oh, yeah.
You either want to be in charge, or you really you might be happy to help for a short period of time, but you're not going to really be a worker bee and have that be successful for anybody involved in that experience. You can get taken care of. That's a very different thing. On the TLC thing, you can have somebody take care of you so that you can be in better shape in order to be in charge. That's a very different situation. But boss of you, not such a good place to be because you're not a great employee.
No.
No offense. So we've now found... Yeah, we've now found all these natural no's for you, and we found some of the, delighted by yeses for you, and allowing you to embrace and understand the efficiency and the effectiveness of the extremes of who you are, and use those as tools instead of criticisms.
And it's that extreme poles and contradictions that I have found have made it difficult to make decisions. Because I think on one hand, I'm looking at one extreme. Oh, well, but I'm like this, but maybe the decision should be like that. But then on the other hand, I'm way out there, and maybe the decision should be like that. And why isn't it like that? And why? So that contradiction has been difficult.
But that lets you be an excellent systems analyst. That lets you sit at both of the bird's eye and the nitty-gritty view, and it lets you assess situations. So, for instance, do you speak more than one language, Lynn?
Yes. Yep.
How many?
Right. French is my other language.
French and English?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. And are you fluent in French?
Yeah, not as, no. Not great.
Okay. Do you have a drive to be fluent in French?
Not really.
Do you wish that you could answer that question, yes, I'm fluent in French?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking that is because the kind of thinking that you're describing, that kind of extreme thinking, and could be this or could be that lets you be in waffle land, that can also, to me, be a description of someone who has, unexpressed or unexplored high ambition. So the waffling is what happens when it's like the flopping of a fish on this boat, inside of a boat. It's because you are possibly out of your dynamic. So when you're in your dynamic, you tend to not waffle. When you're out of your dynamic, you tend to waffle. So I would experiment with, this is a theory, this is a hypothesis, I'm not stating a fact, because I don't know you, but I'm inviting you because I think that a lot of people listening, I have had this experience and you're describing this experience of basically not knowing your ass from a hole in the wall and being in this little loop, this little chasing my tail loop on a regular basis, which makes you, like, it makes me, I will say, I'll speak for myself, it makes me abdicate responsibility. So if I get in a little tail chasing thing, I just go, I'm out. I can't deal with this question right now because most of the questions I deal with are not life and death and they don't really affect other people. So I have the luxury to abdicate.
Yeah.
The challenge with abdication, of course, is that then we don't have cycles of satisfaction. We don't have a deep kind of resonance necessarily with our work, and we might possibly get some bad habits along the way that help us cope with not feeling satisfied. So the impetus, the drive to stop chasing our tails has to be big enough that we actually try to break the cycle. And you can break it anywhere. You can break that cycle anywhere. So if you're flip-flopping, you could look at it as, you could say, well, I seem to be really good at seeing both the forest and the trees in this situation. I wonder if I could use this hyper-analytical dog with a tennis ball kind of level of attention and actually use my analytical skills to help somebody else make a decision or make something better. Maybe I don't want to own this, but I really, really, really like analyzing it, and it's really fun for me. So I might put myself in a position where I'm an analyst in that way, or an advisor in that way, where somebody can give me tons of data and I'll just be happy as a clam looking through it to help you see something you can't see. So that's one thing. The other side of that is to look at, hey, I'm chasing my tail here, I'm flip-flopping. Is this even the right, do I just need to be in the water, or am I suffocating here? Is that why I'm chasing my tail, is because I'm actually just in the wrong place? Is this the wrong topic? I can't tell you how many years I've wasted in my life just being on the wrong topic.
Yeah.
I didn't know because my brain works so fast that I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep spinning in circles. It seems to be okay. I'm kind of dizzy, but maybe it's just like, oh, wow, you're just really on the wrong topic. So I worked in corporate America, event planning, marketing. I worked, as the sort of adjutant or the secretary to some leader for a period of probably 10 years. I think it was about 10 years, something like that. And it was fine. I did fine. But I was constantly spinning. Constantly. And always just on one foot out of a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Like I was always kind of like, I really want to make this, I want to fuck this up because I'm not happy. I barely kept those jobs, and I did fine. But I was a fish in a boat.
Yeah.
You know?
I can so relate to that. Yeah. And I think because part of it is you're this or that. You can't be both. You're this or that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's always sort of been a little bit, I've evolved over the years, so I can understand that a little bit more, but you still get tripped up a little bit. But there was still that underlying, well, you're this or you're that. You're not both. And rather than both being this, you know what I mean? Like they could be one together. It doesn't have to be this or that, and really looking at and the middle ground and looking at the value of that, like you were saying, that my natural
unless it's you, Lynn, in which case I would say avoid the middle ground at all costs. But yes, you can be both a utilitarian and you can have a penchant for elegance. You can both like flowy beachwear and also just love getting decked out in a custom-made suit sometimes. Yes, you can have both of those things.
So, what's hard in that, though, is when you are deciding on something, when you need to decide on something that is the feel, say, elegant, sharp, and then casual, flip-flop. So just
Is
those
it really
as
confusing to you deciding whether you're wearing beach clothes or a three-piece suit? Is it really confusing what situations you would do that in?
No, but sometimes yes, sometimes no. And I think when you want to make a decision that you feel that there's a lot depending on it, riding on it, well, what's the best theme to go with, right?
Okay, so then let's apply this to something specific. So let's say we're talking about branding, because I have a feeling this might be relevant to you.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about deciding what your public image is, and you have to choose one thing because all the designers and all the coaches and all the marketers say that you have to do this one thing. And it has to be consistent, and everybody has to know where to find you and know what you're going to look like once they find you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are all the rules.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but you're not a big fan of rules.
No. No.
So if you see signage and you're walking along in a building or something, it says only this way, one way, and it's a walking path, and you're like, well, I'm going to walk this other way because I know it's a third of the distance, and no one's really going to get hurt. It's not like you're going to hurt someone else. You're not operating heavy, a vehicle or anything like that. How likely are you to take the shorter route?
Well, totally likely.
Like you are going to take the short. You're going to break that rule, right?
Oh yeah.
So let's just say that there are parts of you that like to be in pajamas in public, or like to be in flowy linen or whatever in public, and also you really dig like whatever. I can't remember what designer you put on your super conditions, like Diane von Furstenberg or whatever.
Yeah.
You really like a crisp look that she does, and you really like a loose look that she does. There is no reason why you can't have the experience of a flowy, relaxed brand while having the structure and managing expectations and having things be easy to find of an elegant, sort of more streamlined process. So the process can be streamlined and the content could be relaxed and flowy. There's no reason those two things can't exist together. And there's no reason why you can't speak on a stage and be perfectly delightful and comfortable in something flowery and soft, as well as be, if you have a feeling like you want to wear, beautiful, like custom boots and a suit, fine. It really doesn't matter to anybody else. What matters is that your energetics are on point and that you're resonant and that you're clear and that you feel good in what you're in. If you go flowy and ill-fitting or super elegant and ill-fitting, it's going to have your energy's going to be all messed up and you're going to feel uncomfortable and insecure. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. True.
What matters is that you're making your point and that you have a high level of confidence and comfort and that you're able to take the risks that you want to take.
Yes.
Both and.
Wow. Both and. Yes. Yeah. I see that.
So I also want to mention to anybody listening that from the beginning of your super conditions game to the end of the game, you went from a confidence level of 5 out of 10 to a confidence level of 9 out of 10 by answering your own questions about your own self.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't interacting with you. I wasn't cheering you on. I wasn't giving you any ideas. You did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just getting to know yourself. I mean, so the super conditions game is, you do it on your own, and it's a combination of audio and workbook. So explain for those listening, thinking, well, okay, so this is really cool sounding. How the hell do I play the game?
Yeah, you just go to DyanaValentine.com and click on it, and it's sliding scale, which tells you a little bit about who I am and what I'm interested in, and that I want everybody to be able to access the game. And also, just to circle back, this is about the both and. This is about, you know yourself, but apparently, you knew yourself when you started the game, but you were at a confidence level of 5, And you still knew yourself when you ended the game and you were at a confidence level of 9. What was the difference? The difference was the things that you just take for granted that are in your head that you don't think of as tools were out on paper in front of you, and you're able to put those puzzle pieces together and apply them to a particular objective, which was your question of the day. That's the difference. So we all walk around with all this information. We just it's like walking around with we're dragging this treasure chest on wheels, and we just never open it. You know what I mean? We've got it, and we know we can always lean on it, but we just never open it. What are we saving it for?
Yeah, because if we're thinking these things and they're in our head, I mean, they're there for a reason. And it's just, I think we tend to try not to look at things and think that some of these thoughts that we have aren't valuable or don't contribute or can't help lead the way or give the answer. And
no one has ever asked us what our aesthetic preferences are and that had anything to do with our ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
I ask you whether you like the mountains or the ocean. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
What it has to do with is if we tend to be a mountaintop person, we like the long view, we like being able to see 360, that tells me about your personality. It doesn't just tell me about your aesthetic preference.
Yeah.
It tells me about your ability to be at a pinnacle, be high up, not be afraid of heights. Those all translate also to other actual concrete behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to do with whether you make a choice to live in a place like, on an island that's all at sea level, or whether you would rather be, up high and be able to have a long view, and, whether you don't mind looking at just other buildings or whether you like to have a nice vista. This tells me where you can get your best work done, and it influences our decisions because when we have a decision in front of us, sometimes we don't really remember. We're just looking at the wrong parts of the decision. So it's like someone offered me a job. How much money is it? Do I get benefits? Are the questions. As opposed to where will I be? Who will I be sitting next to? Do I have flexibility to be able to take the weird trips that I take? You don't think about that stuff till you're in the job, and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, by the way, I play piano every Wednesday, and we have fixed meetings every Wednesday. So there's no way I'm ever going to play piano with this group of people who I've been playing with. You know what I mean? You don't think of the things. Yeah. But if you have them on paper and you can take the things that influence your decisions and help you make the best decisions right out in front of you on a piece of paper or hanging on your wall or with you, you start to be more aware of what really matters to you. You start to ask better questions. You start to hang out with people who resonate more with you. You start to be able to describe to people what you really need in a situation instead of it's not always a yes or no answer when someone asks you to do something. It's like, yes, if we're in a quiet place while we're doing it, I can do my best work. Just imagine how many individual exchanges you would have that would be better if you had those qualities and those things you need right at the tip of your tongue.
Mm-hmm. So my thing when I got to the end of it, definitely much clearer, much more confident. But I don't know that I ended up, and if you purchase the Super Conditions game, I mean, you have it. You can do it over and over with the same question, a new question. You can do it over and over and get more and more clear about it. And that's definitely something that I will do because because you can have more. Can you have more than one super condition?
Oh, yes, my dear. Everybody's got more than one super condition.
Okay.
So you have multiple super conditions, and another part of it is so super conditions describe why we do what we do and the way we do it. So there are way more than one. I am actively working with about 8 or 9 right now, and my list has been as high as 15 or 20. But the thing that happens is once you get a certain number of them, you start to realize that some are similar to others. So, for instance, some fit in kind of a category of how you relate to others or how you think other people should relate to each other, or loyalty, fairness. There's some categories, some people like have super conditions that are sort of in the freedom realm. Like I like to be very flexible. Flexibility is my version of freedom. So having like choices. I can either do this or I can do that. I like that. I like having choice. It makes me feel good. And it's sort of the way I think the world should work, right? So it drives why we do what we do and the way we do it. And one of yours was take the wheel, right? So that's that leadership. That's sort of in the leadership realm. Like, let me just be in charge. I got this, you know?
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
So it's a great example. And there are 4 other parts to the model. There's circumstances, which is describe our logistics, like what we like things to look like and feel like in the world. And then creative cycle is how we actually get things done. This is that part is hilarious to me because most of us think if we only did it the way someone else did it, we would have those same results.
Yeah.
If we only could just take the right class that would show us how to do these things. Here's the thing. We all have natural ways that we actually get things done. They might seem awkward. They might not be things we want to show other people. We might want to do it in the secrecy of our own homes because we have to like unravel the whole kitchen in order to make a simple dish for dinner, right?
Yeah.
But this is the thing. You have a natural way of getting things done. If you can amplify the parts of that really work for you instead of trying to hide them, subjugate them, turn them into something else, or be another person by taking 8 million classes and whatever. If you can just amplify what you already do well and how you actually get things done, allow yourself to have that, things get a lot easier. And then the 4th part of it is roles. So roles is who we are when we're at our best. Now, I have been a secretary. I'm not saying I will never be a secretary again, but I'm saying it's probably better for all involved if I'm never a secretary again, because I don't like doing mundane things over and over and over. I don't do the same thing the same way every day. I can barely drive to teach. I teach at a local community college a couple times a week. It's so close to my house. There's literally, like, you can just take one road and you're there. I cannot go the same way every day. It drives me crazy. So I'm a terrible secretary in that sense because there's a lot of routine. There are a lot of things you have to do the same way.
That's right.
It's one reason I don't work with people in the same industries. I haven't chosen a niche industry to work in because I like that I get to work with physicists. I like that I get to work with actors and actresses and stay-at-home dads and teenagers who are just trying to figure out how to decide what to major in. I love that I get to work with all these populations of people, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the roles, even though I have been a secretary, it's really not the high vibration role for me. Now, podium free speaker, that's a role I can get down with. I want to do that again and again. So yeah. I'm going to tend to try to describe my ways of being in these sort of job titles or roles so that I can orient myself and stay clear on what it is my job is really here on the planet. I'm an instigator, I'm an oracle, I'm a podium-free speaker, and I'm a great big friendly poke in the eye 90% of the time. Those are roles that I'm okay with, but listen, all those roles that I described to you are roles that throughout my lifetime as an instigator, as a seer, as a performer, I have been criticized for all those roles, and I have been conflicted about taking those roles in my life. I felt that they weren't important enough, that they weren't contributing enough, that there's no job for that. There's no job for an oracle. Well, hello, there happens to be a job for an oracle because I have it. WokeUpKnowing.com is my oracular dream site, and that is a job. That is a profit center for me. Mm-hmm. So just because somebody said you can't do it doesn't mean it isn't one of your highest vibration assignments on the planet. And until we get them on paper and we can start routinizing them and identifying with them and showing ourselves what we mean by the roles we want to play. What kind of mom are you? What kind of friend are you? How can you amplify those roles? Then we're going to be at the whim of someone else giving us those assignments, and I think that doesn't work as well. And the last part of super conditions, the fifth part, is our expressions. That's what we deliver to the world. And unfortunately, I feel like this is where a lot of time is lost, a lot of money is lost, and a lot of hearts are broken, because there are so many people who will tell you what you need to be doing on the planet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you've not examined why you're doing it, how you do it, and who you are when you're doing it, the other parts of super conditions, then what you do is largely going to be determined by social norms or somebody telling you what to do. And that's okay if if it works for you and you feel happy, then you're not really listening to this interview. Those aren't our people. We're seekers, we're questioning, or we're uncomfortable enough that we want help. So the what's are the things that we actually deliver. So are you proud of what you've delivered? Are you proud of what you've accomplished? And if you're not, and you're questioning what you want to create next and what you want to accomplish, then start back at the beginning with why you do what you do and the way you do it, what your philosophical compasses are that drive you. Don't start with the what. Don't start with the design of the new design of your business, or should I take this next job. Start with your philosophies. And then ask the question again at the end, is this something I want to make? Is this something I want to be involved in based on what I've written down about myself? Mm-hmm. That's how change, I think, is made. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Social conditioning is so huge, and it just stunts the process of learning about who you are, because a lot of times I'll hear people get excited talking about something, and then something that they've heard or something they've been told pops in, and they go, but, how do you make a living out of that? And then they just cut themselves off right there. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of it's unfortunate. It's sad. It's because it's really not understanding, who they are. And who you are is a huge topic. It's a huge topic, and really understanding that. Now, you say if you go to DyanaValentine.com and click on the super conditions, there's a little video there, and whoa, your hair is long.
It really is. It's time for new headshots, huh?
Holy, I was like, woo, her hair grew. But there's a little video that explains about the super conditions, and it tells you on there who it's for and who it's not. But try it out. It was really eye-opening and mind-opening. But in that video, you say that the anatomy of a good decision has 3 points or 3 parts. What is that? For those listening.
Well, that's my hypothesis about making good decisions. My hypothesis is included in the video. I'd love for you guys to watch the video and put your comments in. But essentially, I really feel like we get like bound up in ideas. We get like sort of tied up where we feel like we can't possibly make good decisions, right? And I think that sometimes that's because we're worried about how it's going to affect other people. Yeah. Sometimes we just feel like we don't have the capacity to do it. Sometimes it's just bad timing. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just not time.
Yeah.
To do something.
Oh, yeah.
This is one that I struggle with immensely, and I didn't include this in the video, but I think it's really important. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and I'm thinking about deciding something that isn't really relevant to now. And the reason I'm doing it is because I'm having a hard time being in now. So I'm struggling with what nowness looks like to me. I'm physically uncomfortable. I'm emotionally uncomfortable. Something isn't going right, but I can't quite diagnose it. So I'm going to project myself to a decision that isn't in the now so that I can distract myself from the now. This happens to me more often than I'd like to admit, but I'm admitting it right here, right? It really, really, really And I think that speaks to the point where, decision making, some of the decision making that I talk about is about just based on other people's advice or just winging it. And like, it's very risky to do both of those things, right? But the same thing happens with projecting ourselves to another time and space, because we're uncomfortable here, right now. We make a decision that's not right here, right now, be the focus. So we can just have a little bit of a break from what's happening in the right here, right now. And that happens to me a lot. Ooh. That's one of the reasons why I make bad decisions, is because I'm just not even in the now, right?
Oh, that's a good point. I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. And really what I'm trying to get to is I'm trying to get people to these kind of basic points. I want you to understand how to really design your life in a way that it supports you. I personally want to be able to recover from things that go sideways, because I don't recover well. I really take it to heart. I feel like I should have been able to prevent it. I grieve heavily, right, for things that I fucked up or that didn't go my way. And I'd like to be able to recover faster. So one of the great benefits of super conditions for me is I recover faster because I try more things. I don't sit back and hem and haw as much as I used to. I jump in and try it, and if I fail or if it screws up, I'm like, oh, I guess that didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Like, I've never been a moving on kind of person, ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, we must ruminate as much as possible. The other thing that is that, like, I wanna do things where I kind of know they're going to work, or I know that they have a really high likelihood of working, instead of just winging it all the time. Because I'm the wing it queen. I mean, my whole life has been like, I don't know, I'll try this totally crazy thing that I have no training for and no social support in a city I don't live in. Like, that was basically the description of the first, after college or something, the first like 15 years after college, like, I don't know, just gonna try it. I never really had a sense of, oh, this could actually work. I should, all these things are in place that I know I'm good at. I have the support I need. This could probably work really well. I never really thought through things, and I think that has been extremely helpful for me. Also, I have a big, old, soft heart that breaks in a million pieces when I have misunderstandings. When somebody doesn't understand my intentions, it's crushing. You have had that experience?
Yes, what you're saying, I can totally relate. It's not for me too. It's not okay. Well, it is what it is, and let's move on. I have a really hard time with that too. I really need to understand it, and I'm loud and strong, and I could be intimidating. I've had that said to me before, that I'm intimidating, but inside I'm just like this big, mushy. I feel so bad if, exactly like you said, if someone doesn't get what I meant, and what did I do or not do that made them not get it? And right.
So like, if you had a way to prevent those misunderstandings, you do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this, to me, is one of the fundamental benefits of good decision making is you prevent misunderstandings, because you've decided and you know how to communicate it, and you can make it really clear to everybody involved, and you prevent like a bunch of those misunderstandings, right? So that, to me, that's one of my main goals. The really, really juicy one, and I mentioned this in the video as well, is finding your true yes and your natural no.
I liked that, natural
your
no.
Your true yes and your natural no. And that means that you are saying yes and you feel it in your body. It's absolutely 100% your true yes. You're speaking the truth by saying yes, as opposed to the subtext, which sometimes sounds like, yes, I'll do this because you're my friend, and because I can't really say no, and because I did it, and because all that stuff goes in your mind, and it goes a million miles a minute, and you don't even really hear it anymore when
Yeah.
you start to invest in that bad habit.
Okay,
When
so
you
what's
have a
going
natural, oh, go ahead.
I just want to ask, like, with the true yes and natural no. So for me, sometimes it is a very natural no, but then other times there's the struggle. It's I don't know. Should I? And then it's not a true yes. It's not a natural no. Like, what is that? Like, why is it so easy sometimes? Like, yep, oh yeah, you just know right away. It's a natural no.
I think that we have to get centered and aware. Because I think that there always is a natural no and a true yes.
I agree.
For questions. But what happens is that scripting that runs a million miles a minute and we can't even see it going by, all that does is make us feel like a little bit dizzy and a little faint, and we can't get to it. We literally can't get to it because those scripts are running.
Yeah.
So if we're conflicted about saying no, that puts us in the middle and lets us not be able to find the thing. So if I know it's a natural no, and but I can't allow myself to say no to this particular person or this particular situation because I'm spinning out, because that might mean I might miss an opportunity in the future. I can't find my natural no because that might mean that this person would look at me differently. I can't let my natural no come out because I should let some reasonable period of time pass so that the person thinks I thought of it carefully, even though I know for sure it's a no. Yeah. There are all kinds of ways that we can talk ourselves out of a natural no or a true yes.
I used to do that. I
do it. I still do it.
Talk myself. I do once
I'm
in a while.
not healed.
Talk myself into shit.
Yeah, I'm not healed. I still do it. Because I really care about people, and I don't want people's feelings to be hurt. And I want my reputation to be intact. I'm not going to even pretend it's always about other people. I want to be the good guy. I want to be the superstar.
Yeah.
I want to be the person people keep inviting. I don't want you to stop inviting me because I've said no 5 times.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I want control. I want a sense of perceived power, right? But I also want the joy at my fingertips whenever I want it. Well, that's probably not going to happen in most of my life, but I can still crave it. The thing that I can change, though, is I can change my bad behavior around it, because it is inappropriate and really unacceptable for us to put our reputation, desires, and cravings onto other people and to fuck with them with some kind of half-assed non-answer.
Yeah.
I asked you because it's a question with a question mark on the end. I understand there's more than one option. Otherwise, the person would say, you're coming to my party, and there are going to be 3 people you don't like there, and I don't care because I want you to be there and I need you to be there, in which case I would say yes. Thank you, because they've listened to me. They understand my super conditions and my circumstances. They've acknowledged them because I've told them I don't like this person. I don't enjoy being around them. I don't eat meat, so you're inviting me to an all meat and cheese barbecue. Yeah. That is not fun for me. And then I'm going to have like 5 people who are going to try to talk me into eating meat. It's not fun. I'm going to say no. However, if I've told you, if I've shared these parts of myself with you, if I've told you these are the circumstances I like to be in, these are my philosophies, and you understand me, you can say, hey, here's what I'm saying. I need you to be by my side because I'm going through this stuff, and if I lay my eyes on you, I'll feel better. Could you do that service for me? That's a different question than will you come to my all meat and cheese barbecue and hang out with assholes?
Yeah.
Totally. And you better do it because you're my friend, and then I'm like, maybe, and then I end up torturing myself with it for 4 days, and then the whole day that the event is happening, I'm trying to figure out how to make myself late, and then I flake at the last minute, or I come and I stay for half an hour, and I'm a surly asshole. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Stop doing that, people.
Yeah. Absolutely. God. So what could you not live without? I'm curious.
What? Wow, that was a non sequitur. What?
Yeah.
What could I not live without? In what sense?
Any sense. You pick. I'm giving you choices, Dyana.
I can live without almost anything. I don't know. I could certainly live without my sense of obligation. That would be a great thing to live without. There really isn't much. I think probably some people to talk to. I like interacting with humans. I don't think that I would enjoy long-term isolation very much. But other than that, in terms of things or places, or I'm kind of a minimalist that way. I can live without a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I understand your question.
It was just whatever came to mind.
Yeah.
I love
what can you live without?
The talking with people and not, yeah. So you wouldn't do well on a deserted island.
I think I would do well for a little while because I really do like quiet. I mean, I went to a 14-day meditation retreat in Thailand, and I was totally silent for that entire time. I couldn't believe it. It was wonderful.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, it's amazing what we don't need to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do days of silence fairly regularly where I just take a whole day, no technology, no talking, no music, no interference at all, and it's really interesting. It's much easier than you think it's going to be.
I believe you. Yeah, I think so. There's some days, but for me personally, I do need that quiet to recharge. Like that's what I need to recharge. It's not, to go to a party or something like that. I need that step away from the noise.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like I
like quiet time too.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh my gosh, we're at the end of our time, and I could ask you so many more things. I love the way you think and the way your mind works, and it's what I've noticed in the things that I've seen and listening to you speak is there's so much value in looking to what we've been taught to not look at, or what we deem to be not positive or favorable. Right. And you've really reinforced that for me, that we have to look at everything, not just look at the pretty things, but look at the other things, because there's valuable nuggets in that we can learn about ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that our unexamined predilections can do a lot more harm if they stay in the dark than good. So let's bring them into the light and let them serve us. Let our preferences, let our philosophies, let our natural ways of working be of service to us. Let's amplify those capacities instead of hamper them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because I can say from experience, I've learned so much more from those types of things. And sometimes they're not nice to look at. And nobody wants to look at those things that maybe are perceived because somebody else may think that they're less than favorable doesn't mean that they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm learning that more and more.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that, this again, the same things that make us jerks make us awesome as well. So, we even though we've criticized ourselves about them for years on end, we do have an opportunity to use those things for good and to try to explore the spectrum of how they could work for us instead of work against us.
Yeah. And that's absolutely what the super conditions game does, is it really does make you look at this or that, and it's really valuable. And like you said, by the end of it, my confidence in being able to make the decision around the question that I start with made a huge difference by looking at all of those different things. Get it out of your head. We get so caught up in our head. And that's why I talk out loud all the time, and people be like, "You talking to me?" People are looking at me. No. For me, I sometimes don't even realize that I'm saying what I'm saying out loud. So, yeah, that's been a little bit odd. But the super conditions.
Stay weird, Lynn. Stay weird.
I tell you what, I've done it forever. And, my son does the same thing. I hear him talk to himself all the time, and I'm like, yeah. So he definitely inherited that for me. Everybody has a different way of working things out. And for me, I have to talk out loud. I have to talk out loud.
Well, I think it's the perfect end cap to this conversation for everybody listening. Stay weird. Find out what your weirdest thing is and how you can use that for good. That's the summary of our whole conversation. I love it.
Absolutely. And the super conditions games helps you do that.
Exactly. It's perfect. What a compliment. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I just want to finish with this one thing. Finish this sentence for me, please. Dyana Valentine is...
a complete mess who has good ideas and is very excited to help you. Oh, gosh, it's funny because it's true.
Oh, my God. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you said yes. I hope it was a true yes to come on my show.
It was a true yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. This has the time has flown, and I encourage everybody listening, go watch her videos. Go to Dyana's website, and that's Dyana with a Y, Dyana Valentine, and that is her last name, .com. Not that part in there, DyanaValentine.com, and go look at her videos and go see her I'm Not Sorry video and get the Super Conditions game. It's not hundreds or thousands. Get it and make better decisions and have a better life and, keep using it over and over. So thank you, Dyana, again. I love you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I know you've got so much good ideas from this complete mess, Dyana, that joined us today. And if you have any comments, questions, reach out to Dyana, and you can reach out to me. And I want you to have a completely fabulous day. Spend your weekend doing the Super Conditions game. It'll get you on the right path. So have a fabulous day, and until next time, remember, you have the power within you. Bye for now.